Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Ask Dr. Zaino Live. Thank you all for being on here. I can see in the live chat, we still have people coming in. As you come in, post any questions, any comments that you have. Tonight's episode is going to be awesome. Last week's episode, if you watched it, was off the hook. We had Dr. Franson, and guess what? We've got him back again this week, and it's going to be even more intense. It's going to be even more valuable. We're actually going to cover and recap some of last week's if you miss it, and then we're going to go into some brand new training that you're going to love, and it's going to help you this week, and it's going to help you from weeks and weeks from now continue to grow your practice and reach more people. If you're watching live from chirothoughtleaders.com/ask-dr-zaino, that's the live page we're at, and you'll see below that video there's a live chat. Please log in and comment there. Below that live chat, there is a button, and we'll explain more about this, but you can click that. It says, yes, I'm ready to build my remarkable practice, and that is all about Dr. Franson, who is, by the way, I mean, just the real deal. He has an amazing practice. He coaches hundreds of doctors. I just was talking to him before we started here, and he's going even into coaching. All their manuals are in Spanish now. He has coaches that teach that and does seminars in Mexico. It's absolutely amazing. The amount of people he's taking chiropractic to is unbelievable. So, in fact, this week we also have Dr. Zaino. He's with us tonight. Zaino, how are you, man?
Great, guys. Thank you. Good to be here. Yeah, awesome. we have a good show tonight, and you'll see why.
Oh yeah, it's going to be awesome. It always is. But we even have the man, Dr. Franson. How are you tonight?
And I'm doing great. Thanks again for having me back. I'm excited that we got so much good response. It's great to do a back-to-back. We're going to go deep tonight.
Yeah, last week we had hundreds of people on live, hundreds of people that watched the replay, and this week it's going to be no different. In fact, it's probably going to be even bigger. So, let's go ahead and what's first on the agenda? You want to do some recapping on some of last week's?
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about just the overriding narrative for starters. So this study that Dr. Chris has invited me to do is all around retention, right? So our practice and Dr. Chris's practice, I know your practice, Dr. Tabor, is built on this granite foundation of retention. As much as we teach attraction, conversion, and retention, the three domains of the practice, we all know that the essence of a real wellness practice is building that lifetime family wellness community. Ultimately, this study tonight is going to drill down around specifics with retention, and we're going to go even further in our study of the re-report and the recommitment and the re-sign with our patients at the re-exam. So, Dr. Chris, I know this is a big passion for you. The big idea is to build this family wellness model. So I know you're excited about what we're going to cover tonight, because we're going to push it even further. And on the other side of the recommendations for care, we're going to be diving into some of the objections that we all hear, and we're going to equip these guys to better deal with those things so that we have positive outcomes for the patient, for the practice, and of course for us as practitioners.
Well, absolutely. And I just want to pre-frame to everybody watching this. I personally hired Dr. Franson for my office, and the reason why I did, and he's a thought leader in my life, is because I wanted to make some changes, and I saw how things were going. And so I'm sitting here telling you, so even though I may give advice on chiropractic and I do this or that I still am a coachable person. And not only that, but I always want to continue to refine and really get it down. And when I saw Dr. Steve's remarkable practice, which you'll learn about more, it was really everything I wanted chiro thought leaders to be, except way beyond it. He was so organized. It was because I still have mom and pop issues in my office, which isn't a bad thing, but it's not scalable. And when I hired Dr. Franson, I went through all the modules because I trained my butt off on that. And when he really went through what you learned last week and this week, the reason why this is so important, I had the epiphany, and even though my practice is focused on lifetime wellness patients, Dr. Franson, his system convicted me that I really, yes, I could tell you, yes, focus on the lifetime patient, but just like I have a system for my dinners, or my system for my day ones, or the system for getting people to dinners, which I'm known for, I never really had a system like we talked about last week and this week. And then I'm realizing going, how many people did I drop the ball on? How many review x-rays or those reviews were hey, they're on board, high five, you know, good luck, pat on the butt, you did great. But like really didn't put the emphasis where it needed to be. And because of that, yes, we still had great lifetime patients, but I felt the pain of how many I did lose for not having a simple, predictable, like you'll see the good, you'll hear about the good, the bad, and the ugly patient, just knowing where to take that conversation, knowing that if someone had great results, it's not as easy as high five, slap them on the butt, oh, they're in for life, because they're usually the ones that leave really quick after that. And I realized, holy cow, this was it. And the biggest thing, everybody's experienced this. You do a report of findings, whether you do an individual report of findings or you do a group report like I do. They sign for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 worth of care, right? Boom, some of them even pay in full, most of them do. And then at the review, instead of investing time and money in their health with your office, it's now spending time and spending money, and they just gotta go home and think about it, or they don't even, or they just quit. And you're like, what the heck happened? And you realize like those reviews that Dr. Franson is talking about, my shift recently was the number one procedures in that office. They're all important, is going to be these things right here we're talking about last week and tonight. So that's why I'm doing this pre-frame, to tell you that this is, I'm not just here because I know Dr. Steve and he's my friend and like he is a thought leader in my life right now. I have invested time and money to learn what he's doing. So I am living it. See, I'll never give you guys something that I don't, not endorse, but I'm not doing myself. And that was a real big thing I saw. So we're excited about the future on how what you learned tonight is really, it just, Dr. Steve has a great way of systemizing things and where it's reproducible. And, you know, it's just something like there's always a level of conviction that'll take you and your practice to a higher level. So with that being said, I just want to make sure that none of you guys are sitting going, oh, what's he going to talk about? Or I know this. No, you don't get it. I know it. And I know practice better than most people. And I just saw there's another level, right? So if I saw there's another level, I know you'll be able to greatly change your life and your practice. And here I've been in practice 11 years in October. And how many of you guys that were in practice less could totally benefit from this and save years and years of frustration? All right, Dr. Steve.
Hey, Dr. Chris, thanks so much, man. It's just an honor to hear that from you, really, and know how much I love working with you. Not just because, you know, you are who you are and you're a great guy, but you're just such a phenomenal student. You're just so trainable, you're so coachable, you're so available, and you know that can almost be you know, unnerving because you just show up and you're the best student in the room, you're the biggest learner, and that can be a bit unexpected. So I just appreciate you, and I really do appreciate the advocacy and the trust. You are a stud, man, and you could certainly be a mentor and role model for a lot of people, for a lot of us, around your commitment to training and personal development. So kudos, man. So what I want to be able to do tonight is just to set the table before we eat, right? So I just want to give the conversation some context, do a quick recap of what we talked about last week. Forgive me if I blaster a lot of this. If there's any confusion, we really unpacked a lot of these concepts in the last call. So Theyre, that link's available to them as well, right? They can get and watch the review of the first show. If they want to watch that first and then review this one, that'll work as well. So we'll make sure that's available to them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a screen share. I'm going to bring up a deck that we can use. All right. Theyre, you can see that screen fine, correct?
Yeah, yep, saw myself. Looks good.
Right on, man. All right, so this is what we're going to dive into now. We're going to do a quick recap on the re-exam, the re-report, and recommitments, and we're going to talk about the objections and help you manage these objections better. And we're going to talk about categorically the most likely avatar for objections that you might hear from patients. I call it the good, the bad, and the ugly study. Okay, and tonight we're going to be able to dive 3 out of the 4 scenarios that you're most likely going to be faced with. So I like to consider myself a retro engineer. Okay, so retro engineering, you begin with the end in mind, as Stephen Covey taught us, right? It's the idea of knowing exactly where you want to land and building it backwards. I love how the Navy SEALs say that the best way to hit a target is to jam an arrow in the bullseye and take 20 paces backwards. I love that, okay? And I think that that's exactly how we should deal with all of our patients, right? We should know exactly where we want them to land, be super clear about that, and very deliberate about taking 20 steps backwards and making sure that we are literally engineering their process, because lives are at stake. We should leave nothing to chance. Everything should be highly deliberate. Everything should be highly systematized so that you can stay present with a person and still drive excellent outcomes. So beginning with the end in mind here in this conversation is ultimately lifetime family wellness care. Retention is everything. It's all about retention, and that's the premise of the discussion that we're going to have tonight. Retention is a win-win-win, right? So we know that this is where all the better outcomes from. Better clinical results for the patient. We all know and recognize the compound effect of chiropractic care over time. The practice results in growth that come from just collecting ideal patients and not letting patients just simply fall out the side door and the back door. We want to close down those doors and collect our ideal patients, and that's where you see practice results in growth and then fulfillment for the DC and for the team. All right, so I think we all know that we get upset and disappointed when people don't start care, but we all hate it when people discontinue care, right? Because we know that they're lost. They're not going to just go down the street and find another chiropractor, right? What's going to happen? They're going to fall into that abyss of the medical model, right? So lives are at stake here, and we should train like it. So it's the win-win-win, and retention is everything. We talked in the last call about the premise that your retention is a reflection of your clarity. Okay, so your clarity, your team's clarity, and the patient's clarity around what you do, why you do it, and how you do it. And I also mentioned that the how is the most important one to study, because I find that this is where most chiros fall down. Things get a little wonky. They can't really describe what a successful patient sounds like. What does that patient process look like? Not just for the first 3 days in the conversion process, as Dr. Chris was talking about, not just in the first 3 weeks of care or the first 3 months. Tell me about what it looks like for the first 3 years of care. And give me that same detail that you could give me about your day 1, 2, 3. How about for a family of 3 or for a 3-year-old? You need to have clarity around that. What does success look like? I'm a patient. I want to get the best results. Tell me what the most successful patients do. Tell me exactly what I need to do. You should have a great deal of clarity, because your clarity will drive your retention. Now, we identified the mechanisms that you should have in your practice and your patient process that actually create and drive greater clarity for your patients. And these, I use the term mechanisms very deliberately, because I want them to be baked in. I want them to be built into the DNA of your system. You can't be memory managing this thing. Oh, did we remember to do that with Tabor? Oh, did we do that with Chris, right? This has to be part and parcel to your process. And we unpacked all 7 of these things, and we identified these as the big 7, right? Because if they're not in your practice, or if you're terrible at them or you're doing them wrong, they create gaps. And these are the gaps where patients fall out of care and where they drop out of care, right? So you want to identify these big 7: product confusion, table talk, workshop, progress exams, progress reports, flow, expectations and agreements, and the value economy. Again, if you want to hear us unpack that, check out the last show. So once we've identified the usual suspects, we get these into our systems, and we predictably create greater clarity for continued chiropractic care, for the value of continued chiropractic care. And it's done in a systematic way so that it happens with every patient, every time. That's the power of systems. Because ultimately, guys, here's the big idea. We've got to turn believers into understanders. Believers into understanders. Here's the truth. You don't have to believe chiropractic care. You can understand chiropractic care, right? Believers, when people start care in your office, when they commit to care after day 1, 2, by the second day of when they say, yes, I'm a chiropractic patient, what we have to understand and own is that they don't yet understand chiropractic, right? They don't understand the principle. They don't understand the paradigm. They haven't just switched inside out after a lifetime of outside in, right? They don't understand the nervous system, the spine. They don't understand subluxation or the power of the adjustment. They don't understand any of it, okay? But they believe you. They believe that you're going to be able to help them, okay? But believers are heavy. Believers, you have to carry around and back and drag them around. There's a lot of questions, a lot of pushback. There's a lot of wrestling that goes on, right? If you feel that pushback at the table and you feel like it's really heavy to take a person through their care, chances are you've got a bunch of believers, and believers are heavy. We want to shift believers into understanders, because when people understand chiropractic care, they want chiropractic care, just like everyone on this line. Nobody has to talk you into care or convince you or even remind you to get your spine checked, right? You're an understander. You understand the benefits of chiropractic care. And here's the key. Here's the secret. Understanders are weightless. It's like carrying around a bunch of balloons, right? They're weightless. In fact, they bring so much energy into your practice. It turns a practice energy it turns it up. It turns your energy up. And as you take care of families, just like yours and mine, carbon copies of people who understand care so they want care, it energizes you throughout the day, and it's a totally different practice environment. So our big push, our big focus is to have a system in place that creates value and turns believers into understanders, because you can take care of thousands of understanders. They have to understand a few things, right? And one of the things I talk about is that they have to understand the big five about subluxation. And you're going to want to write these down. The first is, what is subluxation? You should be able to answer that intelligently. The second is, what does subluxation cause in my body? The third one is, what causes subluxation? And specifically, what causes my subluxation? The fourth one is how would I know if I have subluxation, which speaks to the power of the examination, the uniqueness of our objective testing. How would I know if I have subluxation? And number five, what should I do if I have subluxation? Okay, so what is subluxation? What does subluxation cause in my body? What causes subluxation? How would I know if I have subluxation? And what should I do if I have subluxation? That's the big five. Everybody needs to understand those things. They need to understand that chiropractic is a lifestyle success strategy for healthy human beings. It's not simply a modality for the reduction or treatment of some symptoms of crisis, right? So chiropractic is a lifestyle success strategy for healthy human beings, and you need to speak into that. Look, our lives are terribly unnatural. They're terribly toxic and deficient. And these toxins, these thoughts, toxins, and traumas, they create subluxation in their body, this unnatural way of living. So people are constantly getting subluxated. They need to know that they're getting subluxated regularly. So they have to understand that that's why they need to get checked and adjusted regularly. You got to make sure that people understand that. And then importantly, you got to make sure that chiropractic is a done with you program, not a done for you program. This is a partnership. The patients are not hiring you to give them results, right? Do not take responsibility for their results. Do not take away disempower the patient. Make sure that you are recruiting them to participate in their care. You are partnering with them. You are coming alongside them. Chiropractic is a done with you program, not done for you. This is not a 50-50 relationship either. It's 100-100. What you'll tell your patients is, look, I'm 100% committed to helping you. My team is 100% committed. You'll never find a place like this, right? But you've got to be 100% committed to your results as well. And you got to teach them how to get best results, right? So how to get the best results, we call this the three-legged stool of results. Teach your patients, engage them, and partner with them. Teach them, this is how you're going to get the results that you want. You got to get adjustments, specific chiropractic adjustments and rhythm to correct your subluxation pattern. You got to break your bad habits that are causing your subluxation patterns to reoccur and promoting your subluxation pattern. And you've got to add the specific exercises we give you to strengthen your spine so that you'll hold your adjustments longer. So adjustments in rhythm, break bad habits, add specific exercises. You gotta make sure that people understand that so they get engaged in their care, they take ownership over their care, and they're gonna take ownership over their results. Adjustments, bad habits, specific exercises. Yeah, this is just huge material for table talk, and the patient should hear this 100 times before they get to that re-report and recommitment to care. And the re-exam and re-report has to be their report card, not your report card. Doctor, I want you to take a big breath on that one, okay? Most chiros that I talk to, they're nervous at their re-exam and their re-report. They have anxiety going into their re-report to like it's a before and after show, like, you know, like you're supposed to flip on a view box and go, ta-da, you know, like you've just done something for them as opposed to with them, right? Understand this. You have to teach patients that the re-exam and the re-report is their report card, not yours. I tell my patients this on the front end, okay? I'm gonna tell them that, look, this is where we're gonna see how you're doing as a patient, not how I'm doing as a chiropractor. So this is their report card, okay? And then always begin with the end in mind. Remember, at the re-report, you're gonna ask them a series of questions because we're always Socratic, because conversion and reconversion has less to do with what we say to them and everything to do with what they say to us. So we wanna ask them the right questions. And you're gonna ask them a series of questions, but the most important one is this last one. And the last question before you ask for their recommitment is, Chris, what do you think would happen if you chose to stop getting adjusted today? That's the reconversion question. This is the inflection point. This is the point where somebody, if they can answer that question properly, they'll always reconvert. What do you think would happen if you chose to stop getting adjusted today? Here's the key. Human beings are loss averse. Behavioral psychology teaches us that people are 300% more loss averse than positive gain. 3 times more driven by loss, fear of loss. So if a person senses that I've made gains, you know, they can think if I stop, I just maintain my gains. I just don't get, you know, into that next zone, sort of the, you know, the luxury of being truly healthy and functional, right? A lot of people kind of think that way. It's like, it'd be nice to do that someday, but I can't really afford that, or I'm too busy for that. I'll just stay where I am right now. Man, they don't understand the fact that if they stop getting adjusted, they're going to slide backwards and lose what they gained, because you know they're going back to that same toxic, deficient lifestyle that causes their subluxation patterns to reoccur and promote subluxation. So they've got to understand that when you stop getting adjusted, you stop getting the benefits, you slide backwards, and here's key, you lose what you gained, okay? And people are loss averse and they do not want to lose what they've perceived that they've gained, okay? So here's the punchline. You know that you're going to ask them this question on the report in 3 months into care or 4 months into care, whenever you do your re-sign and recommitment. We do it at the 4-month mark. You know you're going to ask them that question. You know that's the most important question. So you have 4 months or 3 months to teach them the answer to that question. That is such a huge concept. You begin on day 1, 2, 3. As you start week 2, 3, month 3, you have 3-4 months to teach them the answer to that question. You can teach anybody the right answer to that question. And if they know the answer to that question, they always reconvert. We covered this concept that recommitment is the inflection point for lifetime wellness care. And we use this chart, this infographic, that if you receive the emails that we sent you this week, I sent you this infographic as well as the script that we discussed in the last webinar. If you didn't get this, go back through your email, because it's in there. We sent you this infographic. We sent you the lesson and the scripting that we used specifically for how to quote unquote sell outcomes when you're giving recommendations for care. And this is a key point, is you got to make sure that you are speaking to what the patient wants. You have to sell outcomes. Don't sell features. Don't sell care. Don't sell number of adjustments and unlimited workshops and progress exams, etc. Okay, that's not what drives conversion or reconversion. It's the outcomes. Like I said, people don't buy drills because they want tools. People buy drills because they want holes. People are going to hire you as their chiropractor because they want the outcomes. They want the benefits of being a chiropractic patient. So make sure when you're asking them what they want to do moving forward, based on their goals. Okay, what are you trying to accomplish? So Tabor, important question. But at this point, there's a fork in the road in their care, right? Ask them, so what are you trying to accomplish? Because my recommendations will always be based on 2 things, your goals and my findings. So your goals, what you tell me you're trying to accomplish, and then based on my findings, I'll tell you what you'll need to do to get what you want. You should write that sentence down. It's a multi-million-dollar sentence. This is what you need to do to get what you want. So the first black line represents the original recommendations for care, which is to get you back to wellness care. So do you want to continue that health and healing trajectory and get healthier and stronger over time? Or maybe you've reached your goals, and now we're at the second line, the orange line, and you just simply want to protect your new goal of health and prevent backsliding and losing what you've gained. Or there's always a third choice, right? Because it's your body, it's your health, this is your life. You could discontinue care, but you know that would mean you'd be choosing to lose what you've gained and you'd slide backwards. Which makes sense to you? What do you want to do? And just ask them, okay? And let them tell you, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. And at that point, it's very easy. Well, based on your goals and my findings, this is what you need to do to get what you want. How does that sound to you? And man, when people are empowered with that kind of choice, they just step right into it. It's called self-selection, and they're ready to go. That's a piece of cake, and everybody can do it. All right, so I hope you're putting that to good use. Now we're going to shift gears, and we're going to get into objection management. But before I jump in, Dr. Chris, Dr. Tabor, any thoughts on what I just covered, just really quickly?
Well, for me, that was a big one, and I've been working on it this week, was to actually, not only give them that choice. That was a question I had for you last week, was like, what if I give them that choice and they choose, this or that? But it's, if you are presenting it like, if you want to lose what you've already gained, then I've already done, I think, it was 2 different ROFs and using this graph, and all of them wanted to keep going and actually continue to improve. So
awesome, man. I love immediate implementation, immediate results. Dr. Chris, what are your thoughts on this? You're the retention master.
Well, I mean, absolutely. You know, it's even good for the patient to number one. It's definitely your thought leading them to say the answer that makes most sense. You know, it's not necessarily even what they want. It's just like, of course, no one wants to go back and lose their results. But a lot of times people they major in the minors, meaning that the minor things of their life are the things that are derailing them, where they're losing focus. But this just sets them back to, it's, you know, it brings it's like a compass, you know, that infographic. It shows them, hey, listen, you know, you can keep on improving, or if your goals are met and you reached all your goals, you just want to maintain, we could go here. Well, you know, and then of course, you know what happens if you stop, and then you just tell me what you want to do. And then it really is, and then they're making the choice. See, that's the biggest thing. The ideal thing is that the patient answers and comes to their own conclusion, because then it's never, oh, he told me. And then you will never hear, oh, they were salesy or pushy when you do it this way. Why? Because they're coming to their own conclusion. Now, if I'm trying to persuade and force them to think the way I think, it's not about what I think. We want to know what they think. So you'll never feel that you're selling, because you're not. You're just asking some questions and seeing where they're at. And they definitely know. And Dr. Steve will even tell you there are those who will discontinue care, but at least you know you did your part, you explained, and they understand what happened. And you make sure, hey, the door's always open for you anytime you want to come back. Like I had that lady today, you know, she's like, I just want to let you know today will be my last adjustment. And even on the table, I went through this whole area right here. And, you know, at least, you know, you know, like Dr. Steve says, when they're going, I don't know if you get it, but when they're going, it's not my job to pull them back. I already lost them. But at that point, at least I opened the door. And you know what I got? Better, instead of saying, okay, well, you know, and I try to make them feel bad, I just say, hey, listen, they knew the 3 areas that they could go by making their decision. And at least I had her schedule an x-ray appointment 6 weeks from now, just to say, hey, listen, you know, come back 6 weeks from now, we'll see where you're at. And if you're getting worse, then, you know, you'll get to choose which route you want to take. So, I mean, it just always leaves the door open. It's never pushy. It's never frustrating for you, the doctor, or the patient. And it's such a classy way of doing it, just like all of Dr. Steve's stuff.
And you know, you're mentioning a really important feeling that a lot of doctors get. They're like, oh man, because I use the word selling there very deliberately. You're selling outcomes, right? Because ultimately, I want to make sure that people understand that this is a sales moment, okay? And you are selling a choice, and a path, the truth, right? A better outcome, and you're up against what they're hearing outside of your practice. You know, that big lie, that pharmaceutical industry is very aggressive and they're selling like crazy. So you need to learn how to leverage some of these communication technologies so that you can help people make better decisions, is ultimately what it comes down to. But here's the secret to how you're going to feel when you're doing this. If you make connection, the connection is really key. If you don't make connection with a person, then you're selling, okay? If you make a connection with a person, then you're solving. Okay, so it's so important as we do this self-selection that this is a way to make an empathetic connection with the person so that they sense that you're connected. Once you're connected with the person, you're just solving. You're solving the problem. If you fail to make that connection, you're selling, and that's why you feel that way. So doctors, slow down and recognize the truth. People want connection and direction. So make that connection first, and then they're available to you to hear the direction. So, you know, that being said, even on our best days, right? So we're going to be dealing with all sorts of scenarios with our patients. And when we go into these reports, whether it's a progress report or a major re-exam, re-report, I want you to be able to categorize the different avatars of people. And I bet you'll put faces to names for each of these scenarios. And I like to use this grid that I created to just sort of categorize these avatars to make it easy to teach you how to deal with these cases, right? So I want you to take a look at the grid that I've got here, and you'll see on the top the titles, the scenario, the compliance, and the attitude. So on the top of the first column is scenario, the top of the second is compliance, and the third is the attitude. So scenario is good, bad, 1, bad, 2, and ugly. So so hence the expression the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? I'm a big Clint Eastwood fan. And then compliance is, are they compliant to the doctor's recommendations? In other words, are they following the path, right? Are they following the 3-legged stool? Are they compliant, right, or not? And then attitude is how are they feeling, how are they thinking, how are they acting, right? So there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. So what I want to do is I want to teach you how to deal with each one of these, because each one of these, I've seen it over and over again, get mismanaged. And there's a right way and a wrong way to manage them. So let's start at the top. And I'm going to tell you ahead of time, we're only going to have time to get 3 out of the 4 of these done. So I don't want to disappoint anybody, but let's talk about the good, right? So as you're into the re-report and the patient's report card, when you come to this report card session, into this re-report, there's a couple of things that I want you to be able to do. So you want to be able to pre-frame it. In other words, be able to say, hey, this is what's going to happen in here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get you checked. Well, we're going to get you checked and adjusted. But first, before we do that, I'm going to review the findings from your where you started with us originally, and then we're going to review your new findings, and we're going to do a bit of a before and after. I'll give you my impressions, right? So you just pre-frame about what's going to happen. And you revisit the 4 agreements of the person. So when they first came into the office, you talked about 4 agreements, right? What's the problem? What's your goal? What's the path? What's the plan, right? So the problem, the goal, the path, and the plan, and you're going to revisit that with the person. And then you want to drill down on the 3-legged stool and remind them specifically around the path. Do you remember what it was going to take, Chris, to get what you wanted, right? The 3-legged stool. And you're going to ask them, what are the 3 legs of the stool, et cetera. You want to make sure by then they definitely have to be able to tell you it's adjustments, it's breaking bad habits, it's doing my exercises, right? And then you got to ask them, how do you think you've done? What do you think? How do you think it's going? And I like to say A, B, C, D, or F, because I think everybody gets that, right? So how would you grade yourself on your frequency? A, B, C, D, or F. How do you feel you're doing with your bad habits? A, B, C, D, or F. How do you feel you're doing with your exercise? A, B, C, D, or F. And everybody's straightforward, and they're usually pretty close. And then I'll correct them if I have to. How do I think you've done, right? And this is where I start just the discussion around the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we'll get there in a second. After you've got on the other side of that, you're going to go through the new results. You're going to talk to them about what's better, what's slow, and what are you going to focus on next. So the past, present, and future. And then you're going to go over your new goals and new roles and new recommendations for care and get a new commitment. So that's just the framework for the re-report. This is how you mismanage the first scenario, the good patient. So this is the good patient. So a good patient, they're good, meaning they're compliant, they're following your recommendations, and they're good, meaning their attitude's good, they're happy, right? They're getting good results, all right? So good patient, very compliant, and they're happy, they're getting good results. So that's the good patient, they're good, right? So here's what I see. This is where doctors drop the ball on this, okay? And the first thing I want to say is that they just celebrate, and I call it spiking the football, like in the end zone, right? So they just celebrate with the patient. You're getting awesome results. This is excellent. I'm so psyched. Your sciatic is gone. Isn't that great? See, chiropractic is great, and I'm the greatest chiropractor, and I get the greatest adjustments, and I told you, and next thing you know, you're going into sort of taking the credit. It's like it's the great care that we've been delivering, and tell everybody and blah blah blah, and we take all the credit for the results, right? And then we roll into, okay, so yeah, great, let's keep it going. Everything's going great. And you don't give any good real recommendations for care and no commitment, right? And Dr. said it before, these are the ones that are most likely to leave, because these patients, they're just trying to be good patients, and they've been trained, hey, when I'm sick or I'm hurting, I need to see a doctor, and when I feel better, I don't need a doctor anymore. They're gone, right? So they're getting a sense that, okay, we've completed a cycle here, I'm fixed, I don't need continued care. And you got to hear what they're saying a lot differently. So I'm going to tell you the proper management of the good case. So the person that's compliant and they're happy, okay? The first thing we want to do is we want to recognize their effort. Make sure that you point out the reason you're getting great results is because you're an excellent patient and you're doing exactly what I'm telling you to do. You've been following my recommendations to the letter. Talk about their commitment to their adjustment schedule. Talk about their commitment to breaking their bad habits. Talk about their commitment to their exercise. And that's why they've been getting great results. I love to use the expression already. And it's amazing that you're already responding. Tabor, your phase 2 subluxation generation, we know you've had this problem for 15 years. This goes back to high school. And I know that sciatica only showed up last year. We've been only adjusting you for 4 months now, and your body is already responding. How awesome are you? How awesome is your body? So you have all the health you need inside of you. Credit them, credit the body, and most importantly, credit their behavior. Make sure that you point out the specific behaviors. They've been following your recommendations, and that's why they're getting great results, okay? So give them all the credit and credit their behavior specifically, okay? Because you've been following my recommendations, that's why things are already improving, and we've just begun. Then review the problem, make sure they understand the age of the problem, how long it's going to take, and the path that it's going to take to get there, and get a good, new, strong commitment from them. So that's proper management of the good, okay? So now let's get the second scenario, which is bad one, okay? So this is a person that's bad with their compliance, but they're still happy. They've got a good attitude, right? And you probably know this person in your practice. Everybody's got a handful of them, right? They're a nightmare. They're a horror show with their scheduling. They drive your team crazy. They're all over the board. You're always chasing them to reschedule, but they're awesome people, right? They love you. They promote you. They tell everybody about you. They rave about you, and they're happy with their results, right? So I know you've got these people in your practice. I certainly do. There was a while there where I felt like I specialized in these people, right? So bad in compliance. They're just not following my recommendations, but they're great people. They've got a great attitude, and they're happy with their care, and they're happy with the results, and they're happy with our practice. So how do we deal with this? Now, again, you're at the patient report, right? So here's the opportunity. You pre-frame it out. You revisit the 4 agreements, go over problem goals, path, and plan. You review that 3-legged stool, ask them, how do you think you've done? And then you get into how I think you've done, okay? And this is where people drop the ball. And the mismanagement of the bad case is very often because we're friends with them, and because they're happy, and because everything's hunky-dory, the results are good, we just let it ride. And that's a big mistake. Don't do that. You're totally out of integrity, and you're going to lose your integrity and lose your leadership with this person. Confront this, okay? Making sure that you are going to confront it, and we're going to teach you how to do that. Then don't make friends with these people. That's not what they want. They don't need more friends. They need a doctor. You know, you're not in this to make friends and be popular, right? Be committed to making a difference, not making friends, and you'll have more friends than you know what to do with. No clear recommendations. Again, things get wonky and unclear, and this is when people drop out care. And of course, from that, you get no solid recommitment. They're not getting back on track and committing to care. That's mismanagement of the bad good. So the proper management of the bad good is share the love, but state your concern. To be able to say, Chris, you know we love you, right? We love you. This practice loves you. You have such a awesome energy. We love to see you on that schedule book, right? And you know what we love even more is when you actually keep your appointment and come in, because this is, you know, can I be your doctor for a minute? Can I coach you on this? I want to tell you that I'm really concerned about your case. I'm concerned about what I'm seeing objectively, okay? I know you're feeling better, and I know you're happy, but here's my concern. And just step right in there and tell them that you're concerned. Their case is in jeopardy, objectively. Okay, they're not following your recommendations, and ultimately, you're not able to do your best work for them so that you can get them the results that they want, not just today, but in the long term. So share the love, but state your concern and be their doctor, okay? Review those 4 agreements and ask them, do you remember what the path was? Do you remember the time commitment? Do you remember the frequency commitment? How often are you supposed to be getting checked, right? How often have you been getting checked? Do you know what the bad habits are that cause your problem to reoccur? How are you doing with breaking those bad habits? Do you know the exercises you're supposed to be doing? How are you doing with those exercises, A, B, C, D, or F, right? So ask them, and they're going to tell you. They're going to laugh and shake their head and be like, I know I'm a C. Oh, I'm a D. Oh, doc, I'm failing, right? And you're going to ask them, it's like, look, I can't give you A work if you've given me D or F effort, right? And we're ultimately going to get D or F results, right? So you want to wheel that in, reel them in, and make sure that you get solid expectations laid out for them again, and get new recommendations in place and a solid agreement. Get your expectations and agreement right with these people. And you watch, they're going to love you because you stepped in the gap for them, you called them on it, and they're going to get back on track. And the third case is the bad. Okay, so these are beauties, right? These are the people that are bad with their compliance, and they've got a bad attitude about it, right? So they're not following your recommendations, and they're upset with you. They're upset because they're just not getting the results that they're looking for. I mean, this is, you know, first thing you do is you send them for a psych eval, right? And let them know that you're a great chiropractor, but a terrible magician, right? They actually have to participate in this, right? So how do we mismanage these people? These people are difficult, right? So very often it's like you choose the low road and don't confront it, okay? And you just let it ride, okay? They've already taken charge of their case. You just haven't stepped in and been the leader, and you let that happen. That's mismanagement. Or you take blame for it. Like you try to explain away or apologize for why they're not getting the results they're looking for. Give me a break. You've given them recommendations, you gave them a recipe, and they're not following it, okay? So don't take blame. Take ownership and leadership here, and make sure that they're taking ownership of their role in getting the results that they want. And then, of course, there's no clear recommendations after that. You don't button them up and get a stronger recommitment. That's all mismanagement of this situation. What you want to be able to do is recognize and share their frustration. To be able to say, Chris, look, I know you're frustrated, and I want you to know that I share your frustration. That's a great word. First thing I want to do is I want to recognize your frustration. I want to let you know I share your frustration. Here's the deal. When you first came to us, blah, 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 and you get into the 4 agreements and you ask them, what was the problem? What were your goals? What was the path? What was your plan? How do you feel you're doing? And of course, they're going to be, you're just going to be direct with them and hold a tough line with them, because this is tough line. This is tough love. Remember, what people are paying you for is your expertise and your accountability. Okay, so hold them accountable. Every time you get paid, you should be thinking, somebody's paying me for my expertise, meaning I'm going to find what's going on and tell them what they need to do, and they're hiring me to keep them accountable. And this is where the rubber hits the road. Are you going to step in the gap when the going gets tough? Are you going to be the leader? Are you going to be the coach? Are you going to be their doctor? And get them back on track with solid new recommendations and solid expectations and agreements. All right, Dr. Chris, what are your thoughts on this, man? I just went wheeling through that. There's 3 out of the 4 top most common scenarios. What are your thoughts?
No, that's perfect. Especially, and I really appreciate this last one, because I think, you know, and we all know going into that room, well, so-and-so hasn't been here. All right, they've been here 50% of the time. They probably didn't do their stuff at home. And, you know, it just, and they're a pain in the ass, you know, the whole time. And then what you do is then you kind of take the blame, like you take the easy way out by not blaming yourself, but kind of letting things slide. And then you kind of hopefully you'll pacify them enough emotionally to maybe they'll keep it going. It's a very crummy situation to be in. Like you totally resign all your leadership up versus telling them not. And then of course, after they leave, what you're really thinking is, this person doesn't care. They haven't been congruent. You know, they're not getting the results I know they could. So, but look at how incongruent your actions were. So this is a great way. And again, I'm going to keep on using the word classy, super classy way of leading them, still getting your true heart outs. Basically, because when you go through this, what do you basically tell them? Hey, listen, you know, I know what you're capable of and I know what you can do, but you know, you came for help, you know, and we went through these 4 agreements and you were committed then. You know, basically what happened, and I know you can get these results, but you're not really living up to it. And so now we need to reestablish these agreements once again for you to get where you want to go. So like you said, you're by their side. It's not a direct confrontation. It's, you know, you're by your side leading them. You're not fighting them. And this is a really good one. You know? You
use the word confrontation right there. You pulled it back, but it is. So often we can feel like we're in this confrontation with patients, and man, that's a symptom. That's a symptom of an upstream problem, right? There's a weakness there in your systems of establishing good, strong expectations and agreements in the very beginning, right? So ultimately, like I always love to say, is we've seen the end of the movie, right? So we have the advantage of, like, we get to participate in this movie over and over and over again. It's like Groundhog Day, right? With all these patients, man, why don't we take advantage of that for the patient? What an advantage for the patient. It's like, look, I know this process, and you're either going to be a good or bad or an ugly patient, right? And what, you know, ultimately what I want to do is I want everybody to be a good patient so that they get good results and they're happy, right? And all of your processes, all of your systems and procedures, they just need to be systematized in such a way that you can predictably recreate this over and over and over again, so you're not finding yourself in a confrontation where it's almost like you're dealing with all these things on your heels. These are all just responses, and the person knows they've heard it 15 times before they ever got to this report.
Absolutely.
Table, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, actually, I appreciate this because it gives you a framework to go into this situation. And you know, so the whole time you're talking, I'm thinking about a real situation that's happening in my office right now, where a gentleman who's been having some low back pain has been coming in through our initial corrective care phase. And we usually get great corrections, but and every once in a while we see, you know, this gentleman had a major right translation in his lumbar. And I marked his re-x-rays, and the translation got worse. And, you know, so all of a sudden I'm going, oh, great. Now I got to, you know, if the guy's feeling amazing, it wouldn't be a big deal to go over that. But, you know, it's something where now at least you have the structure to go in with, where you can ask him questions and you can start to get some grades and start to see what he's doing and what he's not doing, because we know, you know, people's lifestyles. This gentleman's overweight, and I know that there's probably a lot going on in his life that's not helping me correct the spine there. You know what I mean? And he may not be doing his homework and all these types of things, but at least it gives me a framework and a structure to be organized when I go through and we have this truthful conversation about what needs to happen next.
That's right. And you're not alone in that, Theyre. So many doctors get so nervous around their re-exam and re-report because they've so leveraged their results. You know what I mean? Like a pre and post x-ray, for example, or a core score, or a thermography study, or whatever they're using for objective criteria. It's not even just the subjective things. They've really highly leveraged themselves around, we're just going to get results. So I converted you in the middle, in the beginning, and then I'm gonna reconvert you in the end on the results, and I'm just gonna push you through the middle of care. And man, that's such a mistake. Right. The middle of care, that's where you're shaping them, their understanding, and that's where you're creating those understanders, right? And that has to be systematic, so that by the time they get to that report, they've taken ownership over their results. It's not you. They've hired you to produce results for them. You're their coach, you're their doctor, you've come alongside them, and you're taking them through this process, and they've got to participate, and it's got to turn into their report card, not your report card. Awesome. Great. All right, guys. So the last scenario is the ugly, and that's outside of the scope of this conversation because it just requires its own 45 minutes, and I know we've gone far enough. So we'll revisit that one in the future, and I want to be able to leave time for some questions for our listeners for sure. But before I do that, gentlemen, have I earned 3 minutes to do a bit of a commercial?
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
As long as you need.
Awesome. All right, so we're super excited because we're announcing the release of our 2017 Remarkable Practice Operations Manuals, right? So this is something that is really a labor of love of ours. I call it version 17 because we've literally gone over these every year since 2000, and we retool them and refine them and we improve them every time. And I'm so proud of this set that we've just released. There's nothing like this. We've never created anything like this. There's nothing like this available in the profession today. So this is the complete practice solution, success solution. What you're looking at here is a set of 6 manuals. So you've heard me say before, your practice comes down to 3 domains. It's attraction, conversion, and retention, right? It's attracting new patients. It's converting those new patients into active patients. And then it's retaining retention of ideal patients. This manual set represents our processes and procedures, our full operations in its entirety, right? So you'll notice that there's a remarkable attraction manual, there's a remarkable conversion manual, and a remarkable retention manual, and they're available for both the DCs and the CAs. And what we've done this year, which is unique, is we've actually gone into our Remarkable Practice Academy and teased out so many of the assets that live in our academy, which is our video-driven training program for DCs and CAs, and we've actually integrated it right into the manual itself. And we've made reference and cross-reference both the manuals and the DC Academy and the CA Academy. So now you've got this complete training system for both doctors and CAs. It's absolutely comprehensive and absolutely complete when they're used together. And because of this, I put these out there and I said, what we have to do is we've got to put together a complete success solution, and we've got to include the Remarkable Practice Academies in there. So what we're offering here tonight is we're actually integrating the Remarkable Practice Academy into the manual offering. And there's 2 parts of the Remarkable Practice Academy. There's the DC Academy and the CA Academy. So the DC Academy is 104 video modules that are directed right at the chiropractor, at the doctor of chiropractic, to teach them every part of the processes and procedures around attraction, conversion, and retention. And then there's the CA Academy, which is 76 modules, which speaks to the CA. And it's complete with role-playing with my CAs in our office in Boston. It's incredible and, again, totally comprehensive for everything your CAs need to know to help you in attraction, conversion, and retention. And these academies are used for training. These are hardcore training tools and resources. And, again, they totally cross-reference the manuals themselves. So many DCs now around the world are using the CA Academy to train up their CAs. They literally put their teams in front of the CA Academy modules week by week by week. They watch the videos and they just push play and let me help them train their teams. And the results have been phenomenal. So if you look at each one of these modules inside of the Academy itself, what you'll see is, as I said, there's a list of 104 modules in the DC Academy, 76 in the CA Academy. This is just a screen grab over here from actually from the CA Academy. What you'll see is that they're all chaptered. There's a video-driven tutorial by me with a PowerPoint, and then there's resources that are attached inside of there. So if I mention a form or a script or a process, you'll see that it gets populated in the resources box down below. So everything is included in there, and it's just absolutely the perfect complement for the new manuals themselves. So what we're doing is we're bundling this together. We're creating the complete practice success solution. We've never offered this before all together in one package. So I'm really excited that Dr. Chris invited me on here tonight. This is the perfect place for us to offer this. And it's going to include a complete set, so all 6 of the new TRP operations manuals. So you get the attraction, conversion, retention manuals for both the DCs and the CAs. And we're also including lifetime all access to the DC and the CA academies. Now the manuals themselves regularly sell for $3,000 a piece for the sets, so $5,000 for both sets. Lifetime all access to the DC and the CA academy sells for about $5,500. We're also going to include all the DC and the team weekly and monthly support calls. So every week we've got calls for front desk check-in, check-out, floor CA, back office CA. We also have a monthly internal marketing calendar call. That's all these calls are recorded and they're archived on our website, and they're tagged and searchable, so your CAs will have more content than they know what to do with. Plus, we're including bonuses, our finding, interviewing, and hiring systems for CAs and building your teams, our CA onboarding system for new CA hires, and our CA, our 7-day CA training system for your new CAs, and more. We've just loaded this up with tons of content and tons of bonuses. Now, this program, this package, is valued well over 20 grand, and it's going to be regularly priced at $89.95. But tonight, for our listeners, we're making that available to you for $59.95. But that's for tonight. Then the price goes to $69.95, and that's going to be good until next Friday, which is September 30th. And then the price goes to $79.95 until Saturday, October 1st. So just for tonight, it's $59.95. And you'll see there's a URL at the bottom of the screen there, and you can also, I know Tabor's making that URL available under the video as well. Yep. So if you're interested, we want to reward the action takers. There's huge savings here at $59.95, and like I said, you get absolutely everything, and it's protected by my double guarantee. So my guarantee is you can take the manuals, you can take the academy, you can study these and spend 30 days just studying the manuals, dive in, tear it open, and train your team and check it out. If it's not everything you're looking for, if this isn't the best money you've ever spent to build your practice, you can return it for a full money back guarantee, and you can keep the manuals. So I'm taking all the risk in this because I know, and I'm going to hear from Dr. Chris as well, I know that when you get your hands on this, you've never seen anything like it, and it's an absolute complete solution. The second guarantee is if you do implement this, if you follow the manuals, if you study the modules, and you find yourself that you're still stuck, I will work with you personally and help you break through and reach your goals. So I'm guaranteeing success, and I hope that you'll reach out to us and join the remarkable practice. Dr. Chris, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's I mean, because I'm on the other side, I'm actually in it with you right now. And I mean, I know you probably don't have them now, but if Dr. Steve was able to bring up all the, like for the first 2 weeks, all the emails I sent him, I was just like, I can't believe you did all this. You know, like it's like, I can't believe, like the whole thing was like, how come more people don't really know about this or they're utilizing this? Like I almost was pissed off. It's like, how is this even possible that you like did all this? And it really was, I was super impressed. No, I mean, and that's right. Like that would have been a good thing to do if we just had those emails and you could have screenshot them and you would have saw the date of me just saying, this is by far like, I'm blown away. And you know, there's no bullshit there because it's just a private email to Steven. It was just like, yeah, it's nuts. It's awesome. And what it's been amazing, I'll tell you this from experience. I hired a director of operations, Ashley, and his bonus, because remember, I hired someone who had absolutely starting from scratch with chiropractic, right? Didn't know the business of it, didn't know about, he went to my DR, that was his first introduction. So I'm like, how am I going to get a director of operations up to speed as quick as possible? So I made Ashley go through all those modules. He had 90 days to do it. He did all 100 plus modules in 90 days, which they're awesome. And I have like the ultimate trained, it really is an academy. So not only, it was just a wonderful thing. So not only did it continue to change my life, but also in 90 days, we took someone from not knowing really much about chiropractic to knowing the inside, outside, the everything you could possibly think of, because he that was his job, that was his bonus too, to get through it. And now he could really fully run and take over that office, which is just, what I'm saying is like, that's a direct example of how effective it was, that you could take someone in 90 days through these modules were so effective to go 100 layers deep to running a huge multi-thousand a week practice in 90 days. So it's really amazing. But you know what? I could talk about it all day long, but if you don't put action behind it, you'll never know. And so remember, Dr. Steve was talking about people are 300% more likely not to run away if they don't want to lose anything. And I always tell people, like, in the last year, how many books did you read? How many programs did you get? And a lot of times people say none. And the thing is, but what I want to tell you is, like, how much did you lose not having that program, not reading that book? Don't ask for things to be easier in your life. Ask of yourself to become better. So how do you become better? How do you add more value? By personal development. This is by far, I told Stephen, when I offered Chiro Thought Leaders to everybody, my vision was, oh, here, look at everything I do. And I had my scripts and stuff, but this just this took the vision of what I ever thought of. And it was so good that I told Dr. Stephen, I'm like, this is the new thing for me. Like, this is what I'll stand behind, for the rest of my time. Nothing's beat it. So you can take my word for it, but that really doesn't help you, does it? You got to actually do it, apply it, put action, be the good patient or the good chiropractor. Don't get it and just kind of do part of it. Just do it. What else are you going to do? 7 years from now, in the trajectory you're going in, you guys are either going to be doing the same thing and you're just bitter and frustrated, or you're going to personal development. You're going to add more value to your life and to your practice and your staff, and you're going to see huge returns that it's going to totally outweigh the 6,000, or even, even if you had to pay the 8, like this, it's all really cheap. That's the only thing I'm a little nervous about, is that it is. I just think the price is amazing, and you'd be foolish. All of you that are getting this, you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll be thinking, holy cow, if I didn't do this, I would have missed out on this. So just don't miss out. It's really great. I'm currently, this is the only thing I'm doing in my practice right now, right? So my practice is focused just on the DC Academy and the CA Academy. So we're 100% into this right now. This is our growth period and a restructuring to do this. So I can't say more than enough, Dr. Steve. I don't know what more to say because they really haven't seen it, so.
I so appreciate you. Yeah, and to think, if you can convert one more new patient per week for a year, what is that worth to your practice? And ultimately, what is that worth to your reach and to your purpose? So, I absolutely guarantee that you will see the outcomes, you'll see the return on investment. And I'm excited, just frankly, to hear your story, Dr. Chris, because I know if you can take the best practice in the world, biggest, most successful practice in the world, and take it and up-level it, man, I'm just excited to hear what everyone in the line is going to be able to do with it. So thanks so much for that endorsement. Appreciate you, man.
100%. All right, Tabor.
Awesome, guys. Well, what an awesome training, and then what an awesome offer. I just want everybody to know, if you're just listening or if you're watching the video, even as a replay from YouTube, you can actually go to the link, theremarkablepractice.com/manuals. That's theremarkablepractice.com/manuals. And you'll be able to get to the same link. If you're watching from the live page, you'll scroll down to the bottom of the page, click the blue button that says, yes, I'm ready to build my remarkable practice, and you'll be walked through. You actually will go to the page that shows you everything that Dr. Franson just covered and told you was going to be on there. You can read through it again, and you can click and get started tonight and get instant access to all the information. So I want to thank everybody for being on. We still have tons of people on tonight. It's almost 9 o'clock, and so we'll wind it down. But any closing remarks, Dr. Franson, as we shut this down?
It's always about taking action, Tabor, and Dr. Chris said it best. You're gonna wake up tomorrow, and you're either gonna have an entire new outlook and library and resources to put into action with you and your team. You're gonna lead your team from a new place of certainty and conviction and clarity, or you're not. So I'm gonna encourage you, take action. Feel it in your belly. You know you want to do it. Let's do it. I look forward to seeing you on the inside of the academy. Thanks so much, Dr. Chris, and thank you, Tabor, as well.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you all for being on tonight, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks.